there.
I got an email this morning saying you've been blogged about, and it was just a link to radwomen.com, which I'm not familiar with, but there's a very lovely photo from one of my book signings and a really nice write-up about me in the book and my work at UNO here. So it was such a delight to see this morning. And that's all I know, but that's happened, and I know it's happened to Megan, is people kind of take your image and likeness through the stuff you've put out there and repurpose it and then blog about you or something you've done. And then all of a sudden this photo that a friend took at an event that seemed harmless enough is showing up elsewhere. So that's kind of the power of social media.
That's the fun of social media.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
We all get made fun of for tweeting about our lives, but there's little payoffs here and there. You know, getting approached about writing a book, or little bits of fame here and there, and it makes you deadly at you know, cocktail conversations, if nothing else, like all the crap that you can read online. That
so it's great for Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah.
You're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is true. I'll start, I guess. I am aware of branding and would agree that Silicon Prairie News and Princess Laserton have done really great jobs locally from what I've seen for the branding of it and implementing that branding and basically being smart about handing that branding off to someone else so that they can market.
Yeah.
And you can talk about the t-shirts, which I think at Big Omaha, which is great, which Dusty has on today. But I really took cues from them when I started branding and marketing Nerdy 30. I am not a brand strategist by any means, and I hate math. So I had to look at a way of how can I tell the Nerdy 30 story again, going back to storytelling, and show it visually and show it creatively, but then also allow other people to kind of fold that brand in if they really like it. Like, I'm a huge fan of Apple, and it delights me to no end to see all these Macintoshes sitting here. So it's like I'm drawn to that, and that was kind of my idea with Nerdy 30, is to create this brand that people enjoy, even if they're not really sure what it is. Like, I had a friend tell me a couple of weeks ago, she goes, I didn't even know what Nerdy 30 was. I just heard it, but I knew I just wanted to be a part of it. So I think branding is almost like this, and I'm not a fan of the word tribe, and it's used a lot, but this idea that you kind of all rally around this brand or this personality or this product or this movement or this event.
It's inclusive.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's done well, it's very inclusive, for sure. And it has to be guarded for it to do well.
We talk a lot about, I guess, there's so many things to talk about brand. I'll talk briefly about Big Omaha and the corporate brand, if you could call it a corporate brand with a giant cow. But the, you know, image is hugely important to us. And one of the things that when we set out to do this, and again, we're disseminating this information all through social channels, all through the web, all through, you know, electronic means. And so what we wanted to do was give this, we'll give a couple of impressions. One was that it was a high quality conference, right? And you know, it's sort of cheeky and funny, and it's a giant cow, right? But the fact is, it's really sort of well polished and well put together, and that idea carries through in lots of things, and carries through in everything that we kind of do with it. Because as people pass along that message, as Wendy said, we want them to carry that along with them. So T-shirts, as an example, right? We sell T-shirts very inexpensively to people that are kind of fun, and you know, I wear them as a billboard whenever I talk. Buy tickets for next year.
Subliminal message.
But the thing about it is now people are out sort of representing our brand with T-shirts on because they have a T-shirt that they bought that was inexpensive, that's a nice quality T-shirt that they like wearing. And that is something that they do wear, right? And that's a hugely important thing. So, you know, in our corporate brand, for Big Omaha, for Silicon Prairie News, I mean, it's hugely important. I'll touch quickly on personal brand, right? And I was a computer science major in college. I was kind of a dork. Still am a dork, but was really reclusive then. I I didn't care about brand. I didn't care about what people perceived of me. I didn't care about any of those sorts of things. And, you know, social media didn't exist really at the time. So now the way that you carry yourself online is so hugely important. And I don't want to sound like I'm the old guy harping, because I'm not old, but we hire a lot of people, and we look to those things specifically. And it's really easy to actually manage those things, right? With certain privacy controls and certain ways to just sort of carry yourself. And being aware of it is number one. And for a long time, I didn't care enough to be aware of it. Trust me. But it is important, and we do look at those sorts of things when we hire, when we make judgments about who we want to work with. Not even working with, but just who we want to be friends with,
yeah.
those sorts of things. So that's the personal brand sort of spiel. Yeah.
Geraldine, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think two things. I'm going to go back to what Wendy was saying about storytelling. And when I look at what companies are doing, campaigns, it is all about storytelling and being consistent in your messaging and the story that you're telling. And it is being able to be universal, that you can tell your story any place, anywhere. And when you go to corporate identity and corporate branding, that needs to be universal too. And if you're doing it well, you can take it to any medium. And social media is going to allow you to do that because you're going to be consistent. And just the word of mouth and things that spread with social media gives people just another outlet. It gives company free press. It gives them people, whether they're wearing t-shirts, hitting the like button on Facebook. It's just, if you're doing it right, it's going to work for you in so many ways. But you need to be consistent, and your brand needs to have great visual identity and be able to work well across all the different media forms and in PR, people talking about you, but they all need to come away with the same story. And that's the story that you're trying to tell and to build your reputation.
We're fortunate that our market is not like old people, so we can market in this way, solely in this way. But I think that increasingly, if that wasn't the case, we'd probably still be doing things fairly similarly, right? Like the largest growing group on Facebook is 50 and over, which is creepy and
I was going to say the old people are coming to us.
Yeah.
Like, it's not hard.
But it's a good question, because I think that there's an appropriateness. I talk a lot about generational gaps and differences between generations, and there's certainly things to be taken into account there. And in all honesty, would probably treat things differently if we were if tech savvy, young, connected people wasn't our market. That's unique to us.
I'm going to jump in here for a minute, because ultimately in advertising, marketing, public relations, you're trying to solve some type of problem that's out there. And so you're trying to come up with the potential solution to that problem. And part of that not only goes into research on the problem, the product, but understanding who your target audiences are. So once you do have that determined, you need to decide what are the best mediums to reach them. And so definitely it's going to depend on the problem that you're trying to solve and the audience that you're trying to reach. And so in many cases, you're going to need a mix of mediums to do that. And if you look at most advertising and marketing budgets, at least 70% of that is still spent on paid media forms. Now, social media plays a big part about that, but the costs are so much lower than buying advertising on network, cable TV, magazines, print, all of that, where social media gives you a great bang for your buck, and you can get additional recognition out there and just another outlet to tell your story. But ad budgets are still out there, and so are marketing budgets going towards paid media. So you really have to understand your audiences and what's going to reach them. Look at Coca-Cola and Pepsi. They do a total mix, but there's hardly one, I can't even think of a consumer product company that doesn't use social media as part of their mix.
Other thoughts?
I guess I can at least speak from Nerdy 30. I definitely was going to rely on Facebook and Twitter and social media to keep the conversation going out there. And really with kind of the older crowd, which I guess in our minds is like age 50 and up, for my book, it's been word of mouth, and I love it because I'm starting to get friend requests from women who are like 50 and older that I don't know, but they'll include a message on Facebook saying, oh, I heard about your book from a friend and read it and really enjoyed it. So like Megan said, they're kind of finding us, and if I had unlimited ad dollars, I probably would buy ads in like Oprah, Real Simple, Better Homes and Gardens, but for me, that's not an option, so I'm happy just to kind of have a really honest and vibrant voice on social media, and then they're finding me.
The problem with starting to define yourself as a brand, which is like a really convenient buzzword, but with very loaded meaning, I think it kind of depersonalizes you and dehumanizes you a little bit. But I can call myself a brand because I don't really care, but I can see like the downfall of that, the drawbacks of that. But the problem with defining yourself as a brand is keeping your authenticity. Too much like self-editing and self-censorship can really be detrimental to your, I think, personal growth. And so I think you just have to really take a step back and tell yourself, you know, everything I put out on the internet is out there forever. And you can have a great time with your friends on the weekends, and you can swear all you want. Obviously, I do quite a bit, but I just try to keep that off of Twitter because that's not my brand. For a lot of really successful bloggers and personalities that I admire, that is kind of their brand, and they really don't hold back anything, and that's working for them. But because, like the last question that we addressed, a lot of my audience are older people and maybe more conservative people, I try to rein that in a little bit. And I don't think that's inauthentic. I think it's just another facet of the modern marketing that we have to do to publicize our businesses.
And I think you have to be careful and be able to not only be true to yourself, but if you're working for a company and you list them on your Facebook page or, you know, in reference to anything, then you need to be able to fall under and meet their corporate identity standards as well. And there are companies that actually have regulations as far as what employees can be out there doing and referencing, because they are really spokespeople for those companies too. So you need to look at that corporate part of it too. And then again, I'm just gonna go back to whether you're looking for jobs or internships. I mean, companies, they're researching you, you know, not only are they doing background checks, but they're also Googling you and everything. And I know people that haven't hired students because of what they see out there. And whether, I mean, you need to look at, you know, your email addresses, what your voicemail is out there, and just what you're trying to personify to people as well.
I will say one interesting thing, and I know that your company is a bit like this too. I know part of your interview process at BrightMix is taking them out for drinks to see if they can hang, you know. And I do that a bit too with my employees. Like when I put out my first tweet, I asked for employees entirely online through Facebook and Twitter, and I got over 150 applicants. And so I ended up finding the perfect person because I read her blog, I read her Twitter, I looked at her Facebook. She sent me like a great cover letter, but that didn't matter to me as much as what I found through social media, because I mean, like, we all know how to write a really great cover letter and make ourselves sound super professional, but I wanted to know what it would really be like working with her every single day. And so that's what was revealed to me through social media. And I looked at her Twitter, and she liked a lot of TV shows that I liked, and she swore just a little bit, and she didn't seem like a fundamentalist Christian or something. And there was a picture of her drinking at Old Chicago, which showed me that she wasn't like a crazy drunk. But, you know, I mean, there's ways to come off as authentic and still maintain some professionalism where it's like, hey, I'm a normal person, because no one wants to hire the person where you can't find out anything about them personally. It's like, well, what is this person? Their Facebook was made to find a job, and that's like kind of a turnoff to a lot of employers. It's like, I want to know that this person's real.